My name is Eleanor and I am 72 years old. My story begins in a quiet town where the pace of life moves slowly, and memories seem to linger in every corner. For most of my life I had been a caretaker, not only for my husband but also for my children, my neighbors, and sometimes strangers who crossed my path. When my husband, Richard, passed away 5 years ago, I found myself standing at a crossroads. The house we had built together was suddenly too large, too silent, too full of memories that felt more like shadows than comfort. Grief wrapped itself around me like a heavy cloak, and for months I drifted through my days without direction. But life, as it often does, had a way of nudging me forward, sometimes gently, sometimes harshly. It was during one of my aimless walks through the neighborhood that I noticed a small community center tucked between rows of old trees. The sign out front read, "Renewal Workshops. Embrace change, find yourself." I wasn't sure what drew me there, but something inside whispered that I needed to go in. That day marked the beginning of a journey I never expected, a journey of rediscovery, healing, and ultimately, hope. The workshop was full of people my age and older, each carrying their own stories of loss, change, and courage. We shared pieces of our lives with strangers who became allies, and slowly, I began to feel the tight grip of grief loosen just enough to let light in. One of the sessions focused on creativity. The instructor, a gentle woman named Grace, encouraged us to find an outlet for our emotions. I hadn't picked up a paintbrush in decades, but with trembling hands, I signed up for the art class that followed. Painting became my sanctuary. At first, my strokes were hesitant, the colors muted and somber. But over weeks, my canvas blossomed with vibrant hues, shapes, and patterns that spoke louder than words ever could. Outside the class, I found myself walking longer, exploring corners of the town I had forgotten. I met new friends, women who laughed heartily, shared stories, and reminded me that joy could still exist after loss. There were challenges, of course. Some days, the weight of loneliness would press down harder than ever. I struggled with the feeling that my best years were behind me and questioned if I had anything left to offer the world. But each time doubt crept in, I reminded myself of the courage it took to walk into that workshop, to pick up a brush, to start anew. I began volunteering at the community garden, planting vegetables and flowers, nurturing life with my hands. The soil became a metaphor for my own healing, sometimes messy, sometimes rewarding, but always alive with potential. At home, I rearranged the furniture, brought in fresh flowers, and even began writing letters to my grandchildren, sharing wisdom, stories, and hopes for their futures. One evening, Grace invited me to an art exhibit she was curating, showcasing works created by our group. Standing there among paintings and photographs, I felt an overwhelming sense of pride and belonging. A local newspaper took interest and published a story about our group, highlighting the transformative power of creativity and community in later life. Suddenly, strangers were reaching out, sharing their own stories of loss and renewal, asking for advice, and expressing gratitude for our courage. I realized then that my journey was not just about me. It was part of a larger tapestry of human resilience. Today I wake up with purpose. I paint, I write, I care for my garden, and I nurture the friendships that have blossomed from shared vulnerability. The house is no longer a place of shadows, but a home filled with light and laughter. Losing Richard was the hardest moment of my life, but it was also the catalyst for a second chance. A chance to rediscover who I am beyond grief and to embrace the beauty of what still lies ahead. This story is for anyone who has felt lost in the depths of sorrow, for those who believe their time to shine has passed, and for all of us who are learning to find joy again, one small step at a time. Because it's never too late to start over.